Hi, I'm Bill Mould, and I was asked to provide more detail about my spoke storage system, and I decided to do it via this little video. Clearly, spokes have to be stored in advance of building wheels, and we have to be organized in how we do that. And there are many different systems. One of the variables clearly is the sheer number and variety of spokes that we use. If you use a relatively small number of different kinds of spokes, then something like this PVC pipe that you can cut into sections and label could serve you quite well. Some people like to stock really long spokes and cut them to size. In my case, I use so many spokes, maybe 25 or 30,000 in a year, that I prefer to order them in factory cut lengths. Aside from proprietary spokes, these are some of the manufacturers of spokes for general use in building wheels. They all make good products. My preference is for Supreme spokes. Supreme spokes come in a huge variety of lengths, shapes, colors, straight pull or J-bend, and so on. That works out to thousands of possible combinations. The Supreme spokes that I normally use are the Race, the CX-Ray, and the Force spoke. But that still leaves me with hundreds of combinations that have to be stored. This storage rack can hold 242 spoke boxes of factory-cut spokes. I have two of those racks, and I have spokes stored in them like this. Supreme Black CX-Rays, Supreme Silver CX-Rays, Supreme Straight Pull CX-Ray spokes. Over here, Supreme Black Race spokes, Supreme Silver Race spokes, and some white CX-Ray spokes. Over here on the left, miscellaneous new non-inventory spokes in just plastic containers. And this small rack down here, which is the first one I built, this is for miscellaneous proprietary spokes, some of which are used. So how would you go about building a rack like this? Here are a few close-ups. I'll show you these again later. This is one corner. You see some rods that run up through the shelves. There's another shot there. Another shot down there, and a shot here showing the rods going through shelves. You start with a sturdy shelving system like this. You won't need to use the middle shelves, and you can get these at a place like Lowe's or Home Depot. They come in two different dimensions that have shelving sizes like this, 18 inches by 36 or 24 by 48. This is the 4-foot by 8-foot pegboard, and you'll need 3 of them. Out of each 4 by 8 sheet, you can get 5 18-inch by 36-inch pieces. 3 sheets of pegboard, 5 panels from each one will give you a total of 15. You won't need all 15, but you need more than 10. I strongly advise having them cut with precision. You'll also need a bunch of this threaded rod. This is 1/4 inch, and you need 47 of these altogether. It's much easier if you can get them cut to 36 inches if you can order them that way rather than getting longer ones and having to cut them down. So that's what you need, 1/4 inch by 20 threads per inch by 36 inches. You'll need 47 of those. As I said, stainless steel or zinc. Order them in advance. This is one of my 36-inch by 18-inch panels. Let's turn it sideways. Here it is full size on your screen. All of the white dots represent locations or holes in the pegboard through which the threaded rods will come. You could envision spoke boxes sliding in between the rods like this. These ones here are to keep the boxes from sliding too far back and becoming out of reach. Here is a sideward view of one of the panels. We start building our shelves with 12 vertically installed rods. Let's look a little closer at what one of these rods looks like. So we start with this, just a panel with a rod through it. Underneath the panel, we're going to put a washer, and under that, a lock nut, one of those ones with Teflon. On top of that is going to be another washer, and then just a regular hex nut, and then another panel. So the first row here is going to have quite a bit of stability. We don't want the rods to be just wiggling around. We want them to be vertically straight up and stay that way. So here is our first row of rods. The second row, which will be in the 4th holes. The third row, which will be in the 10th holes. And the last row, which will be in the 15th holes. And here's a graphic that shows you all of the rods in all of the holes. Now, our next layer is going to be positioned about 3 inches, or maybe a little bit more than 3 inches from the one under it. And I'll explain the difference in the 3 or a little more than 3 in a couple of minutes. There is going to be another regular hex nut and a washer above it, and we want to put a liberal drop of red Loctite there because we need to make sure that this hardware is firmly and permanently attached to these threaded rods, because otherwise in the process of using the rack and so on, without the Loctite, these pieces of hardware will jiggle and move. Each layer is constructed the same way. Here we'll look at the third layer. And it would involve all the rods, not just the ones I'm showing here for simplicity. But we would start by screwing a bunch of nuts down pretty far and then putting a washer on top of each one. But we're focusing on the 4 corner layers and the 4 corner heights of the nipples and the washers. And we're going to use a carpenter's level, a long one, to make sure that the washers are exactly in line all the way around on all 4 sides. And then I bring each nut and washer up to the bottom of the level. For the next level, I move up 3 inches or possibly a little bit more. And so on. So I keep moving up to higher levels, making sure for each level all the nuts and washers are exactly level. With very careful measuring, I can get as many as 11 layers in my rack. By spacing my layers a little bit farther apart, I can get 10, but it's somewhat easier to do that way because you don't want to have the layers so close to each other that it's hard to squeeze 2 boxes into any hole. And here is my matrix when I'm all done. I have 11 columns, 11 rows, 121 approximately 3-inch by 3-inch holes to accommodate as many as 242 boxes of spokes. And by not using the 2 extra shelves that come with the shelving unit, my matrix or rack will fit right down inside the frame. These are the 4 close-up shots I showed you earlier. A single rack, and possibly even a second one. So that's how it's made. It's certainly time-consuming, but works out extremely well in the usage. And here is my contact information. So I hope this was useful to you. If it was not useful and you thought it was a waste of time for you to watch it, please at least be mindful of the fact that it took me quite a bit of time to put it together for you.